Hello and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Annalise Poorman. The Bloomington City Council held its organizational meeting on January 10th, 2024. First, Mayor Carrie Thompson introduced herself to the council.
Thank you for having us all here tonight. I know there are many people who are joining me, and I felt like applauding when you called the meeting to order, Isabel. It is a new year, a new chapter, and already before the meeting, as Councilmember Asari mentioned, we've been working together, and I am looking forward to a government that works together and works for our residents. And I want to just make a couple of notes. We have had a fast and busy week and a half in City Hall already, and outside of City Hall. And I couldn't be more honored or excited to serve as your mayor. And I know there are lots of people who are really enthused at the council that we've elected, the most diverse council, and really a council that I think is driven to do well for our city. So I'm looking forward to working with you on items we agree about, items we disagree about. I am looking forward to having your ideas improve mine, and hopefully vice versa. And I know our team is really just mission-driven and working incredibly hard. And the last 9 or 10 days here in City Hall, it's been a deep privilege to meet the dedicated city employees that have been working, some of them for decades and decades, and many invisible to others in the community. But that's how our streets get salted, and that's how we address safety concerns, and we collaborate and plan for our future. So looking forward to a great year.
Next, the council voted on the election of officers. Councilmember Isabel Piedmont-Smith was nominated as president of the council. Piedmont-Smith shared why she's interested in the role.
Well, I would be happy to just explain my interest in this position. We are, as has been mentioned a few times this evening already, we're at a very exciting point as a city council. We are the most diverse council in the history of the city council, as far as I know. And we have a majority of council members who did not carry over from the previous term, so we have fresh perspectives. In this context, I would be very honored to serve as council president for the year 2024. I believe I can bring a good balance of experience and new ideas to council leadership. I am starting my 4th non-consecutive term on the city council, and I've served as president once in 2010, so 14 years ago. I've served as vice president 3 times, 2009, 2018, and 2023. I've served 1 year as parliamentarian in 2020. At the end of my first term in December of 2011, Councilmember Stephen Volan brought forward a proposal for the formation of standing committees. And ever since that time, I've contemplated improvements to the council's processes to increase both efficiency and public engagement. The 2011 proposal was dropped. It was taken up again in 2020. I know that several of my colleagues are interested in pursuing process reform this year, and my historical knowledge of council processes, in addition to my proven willingness to try new approaches, would make me a suitable leader during this time. Furthermore, I have excellent organizational skills, I have a good basic understanding of Robert's Rules of Order, and I have friendly relationships with the incoming mayor and with my council colleagues. I know that we can only achieve good results for our community through ongoing communication and collaboration, and I commit myself to these practices. I would appreciate the support of my colleagues to become council president for 2024.
Council members Andy Ruff, Hopi Stasberg, Shruti Rana, Isaac Asari, and Sydney Zulik all shared their support for her nomination. The vote to elect Piedmont-Smith as president passed unanimously. For the position of Vice President, Councilmember Isaac Asari nominated Councilmember Andy Ruff. Ruff spoke on the nomination.
Given that one of the responsibilities of the Vice President is to take over in the event that the President can't carry out the duties at that particular time, I feel like I do have something to offer in terms of experience, even though I didn't serve in the most recent term. But in previous terms, I had experience serving as President and Vice President. And I hope that experience I can bring will be helpful, will be called upon and needed at various times in this transition year. I just think it's most important, like now, and for the next few months. But beyond that, and everyone will have the requisite, I think, experience to take over any of these roles. I think in my past terms, when I did serve, I've demonstrated a commitment to communication and collaboration between the council members. And I have shown fair even-handedness in conducting duties as President or Vice President. And I think I've shown in the past that I can put my own sort of personal legislative agenda and priorities on the back burner for a while to help serve the larger overall interest of the council in terms of its effectiveness and productivity. And I've demonstrated I can do that. I'm happy to do that in this year if I were to serve as Vice President. My number one priority as Vice President would be to help the President create the most timely, thorough, and efficient conduit of communication and collaboration between the administration and all council members, to help facilitate that to the greatest extent that I can. And then the next step, to always work and to work constantly to promote and encourage maximal communication and collaboration between the council and the administration in addressing community priorities and needs and initiatives and legislation. So that's why I'd like to serve, and I'd appreciate my colleagues' support serving as Vice President this year.
Again, council members shared their support for the nomination. The council unanimously voted to approve the appointment of Ruff as Vice President. Councilmember Hopi Stasberg was nominated for the position of parliamentarian. She shared that although she is a new member of the council, she has been preparing for the position.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Rosenbarger and Councilmember Ruff down there for the confidence that you just showed with this nomination. As somebody who's new to council, it feels like a big responsibility, and I feel ready and prepared for it. In order to prepare for this role as council member, I watched all of the meetings in 2023 because I wanted to familiarize myself with the process and with the procedures and how council did business. And I did that because I thought that it was important to be prepared just to sit here, not necessarily to play any other additional special role, but just to be here as part of this body. I wanted to make sure that I knew what was going on and that I knew how things usually worked. So that's also prepared me to serve as parliamentarian. So I would be very happy to do that, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve. Thank you.
The nomination was approved unanimously. The next Bloomington City Council meeting will be held on January 17th. The Monroe County Commissioners met on January 10, 2024. Executive Director of the Waste Reduction District of Monroe County, Tom McGlasson Jr., spoke during public comment. McGlasson discussed some changes coming to the recycling center, formerly known as the Monroe County Solid Waste Management District.
It's the same rotation we've been doing on a weekly basis over the years. We're just going to a monthly rotation. They'll be there for the full month. That will eliminate, we have a handful of weeks through the year where you have a fifth Sunday or Monday, excuse me, in the month where the service previously has not been available. So it will eliminate those days where the service is not available for residents.
Commissioner Penny Githens expressed appreciation for the center's new bulky item schedule.
It does eliminate the 5 or more times a year that there's nothing available for our residents to use. And I think the way you've designed the new schedule Mr. McGlass, and I think things should move very smoothly.
McGlasson explained that residents can expect to see new signage in their facilities, including one with the updated schedule. The board also heard from County Attorney Molly Turner King, who asked the commissioners to approve an ordinance which would increase the compensation that Drainage Board members receive. Turner King explained that the board is often faced with tasks which require a certain level of expertise and technical knowledge. This ordinance aims to retain capable board members.
So the item before you is to amend Chapter 76 or 760 as it pertains to the Drainage Board. The Drainage Board is responsible for tasks that include, but are not limited to, interpreting drainage easements, assisting the MS4 coordinator in reviewing developments, and providing comment on relevant ordinances. Those tasks require a specific level of expertise and technical knowledge. So an effort to attract and retain board members with that required knowledge, the amendment before you increases the per diem that what those individuals would pay. And the language that is being amended in the ordinance is that members would receive compensation in accordance with the annual salary ordinance. So last night at the council meeting, the council increased the range for board members per diem from, it was just $25 and now it's $25 to $100. So board members would receive $100 for meetings that they attend, and they would not receive compensation for canceled meetings.
Or meetings they don't attend.
Correct.
Commissioner Penny Githens commented on the ordinance and the importance of the Drainage Board.
I think it's really important that folks understand, too, that if you are an existing homeowner or business owner and other things are built near you, they can really impact your facility. And so we actually are in a situation where we may be buying up a few homes because they are now just being flooded out on a regular basis. And that's what's happened if you don't pay proper attention to these things. And also we have these karst features that make a difference too in our area.
The commissioners approved the ordinance unanimously. The next Monroe County Commissioners meeting will be held on January 17th. And we'll have more CATSweek after this message.
For hurting families in Monroe County.
A contribution to children who are vulnerable and in need of an advocate.
A staff that goes above and beyond to support and advocate for children in need of services.
The web of remarkable people who are dealing with difficult situations.
So many young people that are in need of help and trying to find a stable family, a stable place to live. Without the CASAs to make that happen, many of them would be unable to find a good home.
I love being that voice for the child who can't speak for themselves in court.
It takes me out of my comfort zone, and it also helps others.
CASA means supporting our community.
Being a CASA is making sure that your village is healthy and whole, and that the children in your village will someday be able to help the village as well.
A child who doesn't have a voice, maybe in their family situation or a school situation, now has a voice that can advocate for them.
I really enjoy working with children that are going through difficult times and letting them know that I care about their future.
We are privileged with our charge of representing the best interest of children. And so therefore we can advocate for exactly what they need without restriction, focusing on their best interest.
I want to repair the world one child at a time.
Welcome back to CATSweek. The Monroe County Council elected new positions for the start of the year at their meeting on January 9th. First Council President Kate Wiltz nominated Councilmember Trent Deckard as the new Council President.
I've spent the last many months, I was going to say 12, but it's been many months of working closely on a lot of the administrative issues behind the scenes that go on with any body such as this. And his professionalism and thoughtfulness and care and consideration for each and every issue goes beyond what anyone would expect. And so that said, I would like him to be our leader, if you would.
Deckard accepted the nomination.
Thank you very much, Madam President, and I am very honored to be nominated. I am happy to serve in this role. I look at this council and I see a collection of individuals who love this community, who put this community first and foremost. We occasionally have disagreements. We occasionally bicker. Sometimes some of the conversations that we have to the side, faces might get red, but it's because every single person up here loves this community. And that is a great thing. So I consider you all to be colleagues in elected office and friends, very much. And I've served now since 2019 under 3 different council presidents, including President Wiltz. I've known a lot of other individuals that have either sat on this council or been in this role. And I truly think the mark of a good council president is that they're less of a president and more of a facilitator of dialogue and discussion. And I think and I've said this in other meetings about our political system currently, I think if we had more people generally and more bodies facilitating discussion amongst themselves towards a goal of getting things done, good heavens, the places we would go. So if I am your president, if I have this good honor, and I have to say, coming from my daughters are 9 generations in this community, and the fact that I could serve in this way, even being in this office as an at-large rep, that's a humbling thing, and it's a huge honor for me.
He said that he will imitate his leadership after the example Wiltz modeled this past year.
I do want to say, Madam President, that I'm going to model what you have done, because in those meetings when we're trying to figure things out, I've watched your diligence. You continuously fight for what is right over what is wrong, what is more efficient, rather than just, well, we've always done this way. You ask tough questions, and I've watched you more than anyone else bite your tongue to defer to getting things done. And there's something to be said for that. I mean, if we watch the news, we don't see that a lot, do we, friends? So I see my role in this chair to do that and more of the same. There's a couple things I want to lay out that I would love to see this council do in the next year. It'll be no shock to anyone because our chamber liaison said it very well. And by the way, Jim Shelton, we want to thank you for your service. I wish I had a wristband up here that said, how would Jim Shelton vote? Because I try to stick generally in his direction. He's represented both the chamber and CASA well. So it's folks like that I model. But I think long-term, short-term, there's just things that we've got to work on. We're tasked with finance here, financing the work of this county and making sure that we have what we need so that folks like Ms. Ridge, our emergency management folks, that they get to do what they do, the clerk in the elections, to get what they do, our officers under the sheriff, they get to do what they do, and that their folks are well taken care of. And so in the next year, I'd like to have a finance committee that looks at some of these issues. And by the way, I stole this from President Wiltz because she talks about this all the time, and she got some of that from also Councilor Hawk. I mean, this is not my plan, my ideas. These are what we talk about. But to look at our issues, talk with our friends at FSG, and figure out what do we need to be asking about, what do we need to do.
The nomination passed unanimously. Next, Councilmember Cheryl Munson nominated Councilmember Jennifer Crossley as the President pro tempore. Crossley was attending virtually, and there were some technical issues with her audio, but she did accept the nomination. The council voted to nominate her unanimously for the position of President pro temp. The next Monroe County Council meeting will be held on January 23rd. The Monroe County Community School Corporation Board met on January 9th for their reorganizational meeting. The board appointed the ex officio members. President April Hennessy thanked the members for the willingness to serve as ex officio committee appointments.
I appreciate all of you for your willingness to participate as an ex officio committee member, the 2024 ex officio committee members, and the board appointment of the ex officio committee member for the Bloomington Redevelopment Committee. For all committees are as follows. ISBA Legislative Liaison, Ashley Pirani. MCCSC Foundation Board, Aaron Cooperman, Insurance Committee, Ross Grimes, High Ability, Kathy Fuentes-Rohr, Health Council, Aaron Bentley Wyatt, and the Bloomington Redevelopment Committee will be Sam Fleener. Are there any concerns with the appointments? Hearing none, I make a motion to accept the recommendation of the ex officio committee appointments as presented.
The appointments were approved unanimously. The next Monroe County Community School Corporation Board meeting will be held on January 23, 2024. At the Richland Bean Blossom School Board meeting, Board member Dana Kerr was re-elected as president of the board. Board member Jimmy Durnall was elected as vice president of the board. And board member Larry DeMoss was elected as the secretary for the board. Next, Superintendent Dr. Jerry Sanders asked the board to approve the establishment of board compensation for 2024.
So at the annual board organizational meeting, you must approve the compensation amount the board will receive for the calendar year 2024. The per diem amount has been set at $112 per regular board meeting and $62 for other board meetings such as executive sessions, work sessions, etc. By law, these amounts are based on actually the Indianapolis City Council per diem amount and the per diem amount set by the Indiana Public Schools Board. And so the city, Indianapolis City Council has already approved an increase of up to $150 per regular meeting and $75 for other meetings. Now, as I said, the Indianapolis City Council has already met and approved that. The IPS will meet tonight to set their per diem compensation. So I recommend that the board approve a compensation amount for 2024 set at the maximum amount allowed by state law, which is $150 per regular meeting and $75 per other meetings. The maximum per year remains at $2,000.
The board compensation was approved unanimously. The Richland Bean Blossom School Board will meet again for their regularly scheduled board meeting on January 16th. And we'll have more CATSweek after this message.
I'm at risk of thinking there's just no point in trying.
I'm at risk of looking in the mirror and hating what I see.
I'm at risk of being told not to tell.
But with Girls Inc. in my corner,
I will not be another statistic.
I will fight for myself.
With you in my corner, I will win.
Fuel her fire and she will change the world. Girls Inc.
Welcome back to CATSweek. On January 8th, the Ellettsville Town Council approved the purchase of an easement for the installation of a water line across property owned by Umbarger Farms, LLC. Town manager Mike Farmer talked about needing this easement for utilities to build a new 12-inch water line to replace the current 6-inch water line.
First of all, the water line project is part of our rate study. It's on the capital project list. And we are going to be replacing what was originally the water main from the wells out west of town. So it's 60-year-old plus water main. It's 6-inch. It was before they lined them with concrete linings. It needs replaced. So part of our master plan for the entire town, which is at least 40 years old, was to provide a 12-inch water line out onto that property. And in fact, from there back to Reeves Road to complete a loop of 12-inch water main. So anyway, long story short is we're going to put the new 12-inch main in a more convenient location, and it will take place of the 6-inch main, and so we need an easement to put it in the location we've chose. There's 3.645 acres that we need for an easement. I'm looking, so I need to make sure I get this right here. 1.215 acres is permanent, and 2.43 acres is temporary. And so what you'll have is a 20-foot wide permanent easement and a 40-foot wide temporary easement for construction. So total price is $66,825.
Farmer said that the town already has the financial resources to purchase the necessary property for the easement.
We actually have approximately $453,000 left over from the secondary water line that we've never used for anything. It's just been in a cash account. After we did the secondary water line, and it's part of our rate study, it was included in some of the capital projects that we do. So we're going to spend it first, and this was all went through the IRC, and so the money will come from that amount.
Councilmember Dan Swafford posed a question about the availability of the land for purchase and the possibility of using eminent domain. Town Attorney Darla Brown responded that while the council has met requirements for eminent domain, that is not the only way forward.
The eminent domain statutes require only that if a municipality wants to purchase property, the municipality provide the property owner with an appraisal or some other evidence showing how the amount was calculated, which is why I suggested that you go under those statutes. That does not mean that if Mr. Umbarger or Mr. Farmer can't agree that you have to proceed with eminent domain.
The council members agreed to attempt a negotiated settlement for the property at $66,825. The Ellettsville Town Council will meet again on January 22nd. And that is all for CATSweek. Thank you for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Annalise Poorman.